Welcome back to FM21 Redemption, where we were meant to be returning for the final game of the season to see if we could qualify Toulouse for a second season of Champions League football. As results played out, we actually accomplished that feat without playing, with a game remaining of the season. It meant the Monaco game became a little bit of a dead rubber. We played it offline, we won it. In the process, we denied Monaco the title, and PSG returned to the top of French football. But this episode is not about PSG, it's about us. Our contract is up, and we've got to show you what happened next. So before we show you what happened next at Toulouse, we've got to say thank you to not one but two new patrons. Thank you to Joe Page and Stefan Jonsson. You are both absolute heroes. We don't have a game to win for you today by means of saying thanks, but my goodness, have we got some managerial twists and turns to update you with. So here's how those final three games of the season played out. We won all three. The crucial one was the victory against Olympique Lyonnais. They were the team that were above us in third place at the time, but beating them meant that we leapfrogged above them. We won our next game. They lost their next game, and it meant that we'd qualified for the Champions League with a game to spare. It all meant that we finished third in the table, qualifying for Champions League football for the second season running. And my goodness, that has made a difference to our finances. So as you can see, those finances are looking pretty healthy. More than 70 million in the bank. Not a huge transfer kitty, but more than enough to go out there and sign some more French under-23 wonder kids to help us compete not just in Europe, but back domestically as well. However, here's the big news. As the contract expired at Toulouse, I decided not to renew it. I decided that maybe we'd achieved FM21 Redemption in just 3 seasons. We'd taken a club from France's second tier to the French title and the semi-finals of the Champions League. Now, some of you will be crying at the screen now. Surely Redemption was to go on and secure that Champions League, but I felt there was a greater redemption out there. I wanted to go and prove myself in another country. I wanted to take another club, maybe one that had never won a title, and start from scratch again and try and build them up. Let's show you what happened next. So the whole time we were on that Champions League run, I had one eye on the jobs market and I was looking for the right opportunity to come along. Clubs kept teasing me. They kept saying that their managerial position was very insecure, and then not sacking their manager for a while. I thought we might be off to Braga. But then I thought the job for us would be Brescia. They were hovering just above the relegation zone in Serie A when they sacked their manager. However, by the time they got around to interviewing us, they'd already been relegated out of Serie A. This club, I thought, would have been the perfect club to carry on our redemption story with. But the idea of dropping down to Serie B and having to build them back up from there, with FM22 looming on the horizon already, I felt maybe was just a step too far. So the job hunt went on. And so after Brescia, the only other job that came up that we were really interested in was in the Bundesliga with Mainz. Now, this time there were no threats of relegation. This was a mid-table team, and allegations that I was only interested in this job because I like the sleeves on the kits are only partially true. So we applied for it. The trouble is, they never got back to us. A couple of weeks went by and they'd still not even offered us an interview, despite the fact that we were listed as the favourites for the job and the supporter said we would be the ideal candidate. We started to get a little bit twitchy, a little bit nervous, but there were no other jobs out there until...
Veteran football coach FM Llama has stunned the game once more by walking away from his job at Toulouse at the end of his contract. Llama enjoyed 3 highly successful years at the helm of the French club, securing promotion to the top flight, depriving PSG of a 17th consecutive title and reaching the Champions League semi-final. Why any coach would walk away from what was seemingly a job for life is a mystery, but Llama has not had a conventional career, and the public are eager to see what the next move will be for the eccentric manager. And they won't have to wait long. with rumours circulating that a press conference has been called for later today, where Llama is set to be announced as the coach of a, as yet, unnamed club.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please settle down, take your seats. I realise we've got lots of questions, I promise. We've got time to get through all of them. Why don't we kick things off with a question from, yes, Jonas Arnesen from the Norwegian Football Times.
FM Llama. Spørsmålet verden stiller er: Hvorfor har du kommet tilbake?
Mr. Arnesen, I thank you for the question, and whilst my Football Manager bio says that I speak fluent Norwegian, I know a lot of viewers won't, so could you repeat your question in English, please?
Apologies. I asked, can you explain to the world why you have come back to Tromsdalen?
Why have I returned? Unfinished business. This is all about redemption, and what possible better redemption could there be than returning to the club where we failed and take them to the ultimate glory? We successfully guided them from the second division of Norwegian football to the top, but we had our job snatched from us before we could achieve the ultimate prize. We've got to come back and give it one more shot, haven't we?
But this club sacked you just 4 years ago. Aren't you worried it could happen again?
Of course it's a risk, I acknowledge that, but if you're playing Football Manager without the risk of the sack, you're not really playing it at all. It's the main reason I've left Toulouse, where, to be honest, I felt the risk of the sack had evaporated, but I'm confident about my time here. Some of the players that they've been producing whilst I've been gone are absolutely incredible, and we're going to do things differently this time. I'm going to allow myself to sign players from a very limited pool, and I believe some of the signings that I've got lined up will mean that the sack will be the last thing we'll be worried about.
And finally, do you have a message for the dozens of Tromsdalen fans we have?
I do have a message, and it is a simple one. A very wise person advised me before taking this job. They said, if you're going to return to Tromsdalen and simply scrap against relegation, then the fans have seen all that before. If you're going to go back, it's got to be to achieve something bigger this time. So brace yourselves, Tromsdalen fans. We've come back for one reason only. We're going to win that Norwegian Premier Division title, and we are going to go on a European tour. So pack your bags, because we're not going to rest until Tromsdalen are in the Champions League knockout stages. Okay, who's got the next question then? Yes, Annette Meyer, Norway Today. Okay, let's bring you up to speed. We've got some explaining to do. This will take some of you by surprise. It certainly took me by surprise. We waited and waited and waited for that Mainz interview to come, and it never did. And then Tromsdalen sacked their manager because they were embroiled in a relegation battle, approaching the halfway point of the Norwegian Premier Division season. To begin with, I wasn't sure what we felt about potentially going back to Norway, but then I thought, could this be the ultimate FM21 redemption to return to the scene of our sacking and take the reins back up? I declared my interest in the job and applied for it, and was a little bit crestfallen when the fans laughed off my interest, saying I was not the suitable candidate. So I thought, well, we're back to just waiting to hear from Mainz. But then Tromsdalen did come back. They did offer us an interview. Bizarrely, it was an interview that took place in the boardroom at Toulouse, but we attended it. We said all of the right things, and Tromsdalen came back and made us an offer, and still there was no word from Mainz about that interview. So we decided to jump in with both feet. We are back as boss of Tromsdalen, back to where we're going to be trying to produce our own Norwegian youth intake players, along with signing players that have come through the Tromsdalen Academy and any players that played for us during our time with Toulouse. So we are casting our net a little bit further of a field in order to take on this challenge. However, there were a couple of stipulations that I insisted on during my negotiations with the board when agreeing to take over, and the first was this. In my entire time at the club, they have been using a courtroom artist to create impressions of what the players look like to put on the club's website. I said, that's making Tromsdalen look like a laughingstock. We need to get a professional photographer in to take some actual player profile pictures of our young squad members. Well, the board agreed, and now every single player has got a beautiful little pen pick that shows us what they actually look like. And some of these players, by the way, look like they can play. This is Ola Christian Bratton, an 18-year-old central midfielder or winger. He looks like a player that we can work with, as is Roy, the boy, Henriksen, only 17 years old. He looks like a striker that could be the pacey hitman that we need to fire us to the Norwegian Premier Division title. And I'm holding back on you, by the way, because I've not even shown you the two best youth players that I think Tromsdalen have in their ranks. The only old guard that's still at the club that we would recognise is our old friend Håkon Skogdal. He is the club captain, changed a little bit since we left, but I reckon we have made some signings that will surprise a few people to help bring a few of our former favourites back to Tromsdalen with us. However, that was not the only stipulation I had for the board. I said to them, do you not think it's a little bit ridiculous that for the last 16 years the club have been using exactly the same kit? It's getting very tatty now, and to be honest, it still reeks from when Andre Gerser used to wear it. They said, all right, we will design you a new kit. I said, go out and hire us the best designer in the world to make these new kits for us. They said, would FM Custom Kits fit the bill? And I said, look, Lorenzo is an absolute artist. Get yourself on his website. The guy can create custom kits like nobody else I know, and he has excelled himself. New for our time returning with Tromsdalen, we've got brand new Adidas home and away shirts. It's going to be an absolute treat to see these boys sporting this new kit, so we will no longer be the scratty little poor relations of Norwegian football. So join us on Monday. The story is set. We are going to be going back to the Arctic Circle. Our mission is to win the Norwegian Premier Division with maybe some of our Gallic friends from Toulouse, plus our Sub-Zero heroes. We'll be looking at the signings we've made in Monday's episode. Some of those I think will surprise you, and we'll also be looking at our next youth intake, because it's time to start creating Sub-Zero heroes once more.
Don't wanna hold back.